Hey, so targeted individual West Coast, USA 2019, beginning of February. Started in the US under the guise of national pride. Parts of the UK are infected with some channeled information I got like 2-3 years ago. Deep Thought News on Twitter has research of other countries infected, affected. Counter Darkness has switched to the name Spirituality 28 on Twitter. His website was taken down, his YouTube taken down. I was able to recover part of it that popped up in Germany and have it being sent out on my Twitter account on an automated post so that people can understand it's all Satanism. There is no Mormon anything in gang stalking. It's police state terrorism, satellite terrorism. There's no Christian anything. And torturing people to suicide because you sell their body on the internet for rape by electromagnetic form gang stalkers. It's all Satanism. And Counter Darkness is now Spirituality 28 on Twitter. His research helps to prove all of that. So he's a threat, but a lot of his research still exists, even if the MF perps are a little upset about that. Okay, so explaining some terms for this Satanism. Satanic repeaters and satanic suggesters, like 6 to 8 words delivered through voice to skull, brain-computer interface, or in street theater with gang stalkers who are part of the criminal surveillance group, watch you privately for a while. They're designed for torture. Satanic repeaters and suggesters and brainwashing, usually no more than 6 to 8 words. Very painful, horrible stuff that can kill, literally. Satanic repeaters and suggesters can kill you. Satanic misdirection. Here's kind of a simplified example. Like for the last 3 years, well, let's see, satanic misdirection. Another example, like I eat a slice of pie from mom's cooking, and we're supposed to have it tomorrow for dessert, and I ate it the night before. And mom sees that somebody took a piece of the pie out and ate it. And she approaches, like, let's say me and my brother, and I ate the pie, but I'm like, nope, it was actually him. He ate the pie. You should direct all your anger at my brother who ate the pie, when it was actually me who ate the pie. That's an example of satanic misdirection. That's been going on a lot with remote neural monitoring and nano thieving. Counter Darkness, now Spirituality 28, talked about the nano thieving that's going on with him, and they torture us with it. They'll steal our intellectual copyright, whatever, and then brag about like never admitting it, or which people they're going to direct the thoughts to. Nano thieving is real acute Satanism. It allows for the whole population worldwide to be turned into the worst kinds of slaves. So satanic repeaters, satanic suggesters, nano thieving, as I've explained a little bit. And, an example of a satanic repeater is like saying something like, Bob, you're a faggot. Or like, what's another example of a satanic repeater? It's often very vague. It doesn't explain what it does. I remember during some of these psyops walking around a psychological operation in Portland, and this poor dear, this woman, she had experienced them too. I could tell. She's like, they never say what they really mean. She was walking down a hallway or like out on a street. And she had endured some of these. She must have heard satanic repeaters and suggesters, is what I'm gathering now some years later. Wes Penray is like all about shutting down the whole grid, and by that we mean the earth. He's got some good info, and these perps that are still on me are getting beat by a fucking bounce pass. I may be tarnished and not as reliable as a messenger now, but Wes Penray's doing fine getting the message out about them black Swiss cheese holes. So fuck them. They got beat by a bounce pass. So nano thieving, huge. Satanism allows for like the globe to become nothing more than torture robots, and then anything they ever create with their mind is automatically stolen and never theirs, and just grind humanity down into the ground, even use their advantages against them. Satanic repeaters, 6 to 8 words, satanic suggesters used for torture and sin, and then that are like secretly misjudged for it. Nano thieving, satanic misdirection, like I've just explained with the pie, like, no, he ate the pie. Satanic mimicry, that's also enabled by this nano thieving. People will take my intellectual copyright stuff or whatever and then mimic it and call it theirs, and then they want to never admit that I'm the source of all this stuff, out of trying to top the 10 Commandments, destroy the U.S. Constitution, and other Satanism. I want them to shut the fuck up. But there's no such thing as angels, and all this shit just allows for parasites. They're no angels. They're EMF, gang stalkers, subhuman perps in another location where the real body is, and they're walking around Hillsborough in any form within their programming of a human by appearances they can. In Tualatin, when they did this, they ended up raping like a young Mexican girl. I gathered enough information in my fact finding there, like a 70-year-old, 60-year-old pervert in another location, electromagnetic forms himself as a little Mexican kid, says he's from the future, and rapes this girl. And he's like a real old man in like New Jersey. And that's what happened in Tualatin in 2016, more or less. They're probably gearing up for the same shit here in Hillsborough. So lock up your kids. Nano thieving, satanic repeaters, satanic suggesters, satanic misdirection, satanic mimicry, satanic disrespect. For 3 years now, Satanic Mockingbird was convincing Portland, and maybe even more, like they got some of the shit show, that somehow me as a West Coast unaware TI, I thought it was just mental illness for over 15 years of this synthetic telepathy torture, that somehow I was Satan. And they believed it. In psych wards, blame the victim type stuff. This hooker for goats that I wish would get punched through the skull, figuratively, not literally. Did the tactic of blaming the victim and shit early on in some of these attempts on my life, trying to say like I sold my soul to Satan. I was stolen in grad school, hun. Why don't you grab the hooves off the ground and pick them back up into your car and drive to the house my suffering more or less pays for directly? Satanic pride. They have hack advantages, these subhumans, on reality itself, and they get all juiced up when they torture people, some of the wiring from the nanos or something like that. They can't, I've just dissected it for them like a man in a relationship. They can't even say they get high off the damned. I'm not damned, I'm tortured. They may buy meth and heroin with the $35 they'd make an hour torturing me in EMF form. But even the coke you take or the heroin you take, you don't even get high off. It's your body's reaction to the substance. So satanic repeaters, satanic suggesters, satanic topping. Anything that's pretending to be my God in my head, on the street, in television, on your computer, cell phones, satellites, the moon, Saturn, the sun itself, every single thing that is ever said or would say that it is my few word use to mislead them, God, is a satanic top. And that goes until the end of time. Literally, they're not supposed to be in any humans' heads or bodies like this. It's crimes against creation. I'm not a superhuman, I'm a super slave. And what made me super was not being a slave. Okay, I'll try and wrap up this video. So satanic repeaters, satanic suggesters, nano thieving, satanic misdirection, satanic mimicry, satanic disrespect, satanic set design around 3D where they'll send in fake people that are real in other locations to torture me. Satanic pride, they have cheated advantages over the world through this normal 3D. Satanic disrespect, that can be lethal. That's killed before. I definitely did not kill this Mick, but It's usually reserved for like heads of state, not head of state, but every person coming in out of the White House, like depending on your party, like they're always getting called the Antichrist. The difference is that for the second Bush, he actually fits the criteria, and they've already opened up the gates of hell. Mine 15 years ago, and there's an estimated 1.5 million out of 237 plus million Americans that are TI. And if they're on 3 shifts a day, rotating shifts, that's 3-to-1 gang stalkers to each TI. And the gang stalkers are enslaving. It's the same plot to enslave every man, woman, and child that the Kennedys were fighting against. It's gotten more acute. It's gotten worse. So those are some of the terms for war. So if you recognize any of that stuff, particularly satanic repeaters or suggesters out in the community, feel free to get a taser. Fucking lay them out. They work for Satan if they're using that language. It's pretty easy for me these days to sort of spot out who's who. The whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you. And I don't even believe in God, but there's definitely Satanism and interplanetary enslavement programs well underway in no good ways. So, yeah, I went out to the library in Tualatin. I met a literally satanic dog Jew that was so Jewy you couldn't wash the Jew off him. The Ross children of all that Jew money. Mark Zuckerberg of everybody's getting raped off Facebook, and Ray Kurzweil of let's make everybody into a torture robot. Those 3 Jew dog families are more responsible for the same plot to enslave every man, woman, child than any other ethnic group, period. And they top out at the top of the totem pole as lapdog for the trapdoor 4th graders, the reptoids. They're nothing. And reptoids don't even exist outside of this reality. So you shouldn't fear them. I don't. I routinely mock them. What else? That's some of the stuff off the top of my head about less than 13 minutes on this video. Oh, yeah. So you couldn't wash the Jew off this satanic repeater Jew dog. And this black guy who's never been a slave in his life came up asking me, who's more of a slave than most people ever should have to be, asking me for money, and got sideways with me. There's a few boys in the room that were sure to try and calm things down before somebody got hurt. That nigger's never been a slave in his life. Real emo, too. Jew dogs and niggers who've never been slaves in their lives. There's a lot of black TI, unfortunately. I got a lot of sympathy for them. But I don't have any sympathy for slavers, no matter your skin color or tone of voice. Or species.